I'm sure I will surprise none of my viewers when I say that one of the big things I really dislike about feminism is its claim of supporting equality when it has nothing to say whatsoever on the issues that are faced almost exclusively by men. I will not say that feminists are specifically all anti-male because I think that that might be going one step too far, but I will say that feminism as an ideology is not supportive of men's rights. I'm sure you have all heard of the reasons why feminists believe that feminism is necessary in society, namely that the patriarchy is a system where men just continue to subjugate women in order to empower them, and it cycles onward and onward to create a sort of systematic oppression where feminists believe that female values and norms and femininity in general is seen as weaker or inferior to male norms and values. However, there's been a recent trend within feminist ideology that I think also warrants discussion, and it goes a little something like this. So there are certain issues that are faced almost exclusively by men. This also happens to be the result of the patriarchy because men are expected to fulfill the role of the oppressor, and women are expected to fill the role of the oppressed. So feminism contends by freeing women of these shackles and by giving them the equal rights and freedoms that men currently already enjoy, men will no longer have to feel obligated to oppress women.
Men don't have the benefits of equality either. We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are, and that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. If men don't have to control, women won't have to be controlled.
This is a very convenient story because it accomplishes two things which I think the original feminists did not really accomplish very well. It gives men a reason why they need to join feminism, and it also gives people a reason why certain women are not feminists. It's because they internalize misogyny, that they themselves are raised to hate women, despite not being aware of it. I find this claim absolutely ludicrous, and there are two main reasons why, one in practice and one in principle. Let's go over practice first. Firstly, is there a culture designed to hate women? No, I don't think so. And the reason I don't think that this patriarchal culture exists is because we inherently value women's lives more than men. And I can prove this with a very simple concept. In every single society, pretty much on the face of the earth and in history, it has always been women and children first. Men dead last. There are tons of paraphernalia online that say things like boys are stupid, throw rocks on them. Cups that say men's tears on them. Hashtags saying kill all men or men are pigs. You try any of that with a female equivalent, and you will have feminists with your head on a stick. When you look at the success of things like hashtag he for she, or hashtag yes all women, or hashtag like a girl, you know, it really boggles me as to how people can still assume in the face of all this evidence that there is some sort of culture that hates women, when nothing could be further from the truth. The reason why men face certain issues in society, issues like the fact that we are expected to conform to this hyper-masculine expectation, the fact that we are expected to give our place on the life raft for a woman next to us, the reason why we are expected to conscript in the army in the event of another world war, is not because we hate women. It's not because of a society that hates women. It is the opposite. It is because of a society that values women's lives over men. and overall views men's lives as disposable. Now, am I going to say that we live in some misandric culture that hates men? I wouldn't go that far, but I will say there are certain instances of discrimination that are faced almost exclusively by men, and vice versa. There are always going to be instances of discrimination faced exclusively by women. But what we should recognize is that it is not the result of patriarchy. It is not the result of women hating that men face the issues that they do and women face the issues that they do. It is the result of society. Society enforces roles on both men and women. And sometimes these roles are beneficial and sometimes they're not. I'm all for breaking out of these gender roles. I am all for letting people live lives the way they want. But I am not for doing so at the price of perpetuating a falsehood, namely this myth of the patriarchy. So apart from the fact that none of this has been seen in reality, why doesn't this concept make sense in principle? Well, I challenge you to switch the roles of men and women in feminist rhetoric and see if that makes any sense to you. So we live in a culture of misandry. Essentially, both boys and girls are raised to hate men. As girls grow up into women, they take positions of power which they use to continually subjugate men. Positions like in politics, in universities' women's studies classes, in family and criminal law, where men receive harsher sentences than women for equivalent crimes, and even in instances of life or death, where men are expected to give their lives for a woman. So there are certainly issues that are faced almost exclusively by women. But see, that is also the result of the misandric culture, because men are viewed as disposable. And if women were to just accept that it is the result of their femininity and feminine values being pushed onto men, that men are expected to hold this burden of being the sacrificial lamb of society, then maybe we could free men and women from their respective roles. Do you see how insane this sounds? Because nothing can convince a feminist that men face issues because of society. No, it's always going to be a result of the patriarchy. Whether it benefits or hinders men, it is the result of the patriarchy. Why would men do this to themselves? Why would men willingly subjugate our brothers and our fathers and our sons and our friends? If we hate women so much, why would we do this to ourselves? This logic makes absolutely no fucking sense at all. If we were a society that was patriarchal in nature, if we valued masculinity over femininity, then why is it that men are seen as dead last? Why is it that there are certain things in society that do not benefit men? I'd like to finish off this video with a bit of a thought exercise. So, feminists contend that men are responsible for the subjugation of women because men hold all the power, women hold none of it. Yada, yada, yada. However, for issues faced almost exclusively by men, it is also the result of the patriarchy. So what they're trying to say is essentially, men, you are responsible for the oppression of women, and as for the issues that you might face almost exclusively, I might add, oh, that's also your fault. Doesn't that sound a little bit like victim blaming to you guys? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to third wave feminism, where the main concept is a kangaroo court held against men for the crime of oppressing women, a crime most of us did not commit and are only accused of based on hearsay and fear-mongering tactics. This, my friends, this is the face of equality in the 21st century. May the truth always be heard.